Jewel says it's hard for her to hire a full-time manager because healthcare benefits are too expensive. Racism and discrimination is not just a black and white thing, but an everybody thing. Reporting from St. Cloud, I'm Sainabou Gaye, UTVS News. Some students and Professor Tamarat to see how colorism is affecting things like dating and social media. So colorism on social media is becoming more prevalent online. This concludes my exploration of colorism, and for more information, go to utvsnews.com. After talking to people, I think it comes from having the house slave mentality, because whiter slaves were given more privileges, able to work in the house, while darker slaves were were working in the field and treated differently. So I think it's still carrying on today.
Yeah.
What I learned, it's just a lot of people don't talk about it. So getting people's answers and how they feel about it is very interesting to see where people think this comes from. Even though tooth decay is preventable, the MDH has come up with the Minnesota Oral Health Plan to target problem. The plan targets low-income families who have the greatest risk of oral disease. Minnesota's open meeting law to newer technologies yesterday. The bill would allow city council members to send back messages back and forth on Facebook or Twitter without triggering the open meeting law. Minnesota's open meeting law requires that government meetings be generally open to the public. I told officials the reasons he didn't call it in is because he didn't want to burden them on Thanksgiving, so he wanted to wait till the next day. Prosecutors in the case of a Little Falls man charged with killing 2 teenagers who broke into his house are asking a judge to bar the defense from publicly releasing information. Officials made it very clear that this is still an ongoing investigation and want to make sure that Smith gets a fair trial. Reporting from Little Falls, this has been Sainabou Gaye, reporting for UTVS News.
This past Friday, November 23rd, my office received a call from a neighbor indicating that he suspected Byron Smith may have killed somebody in his home just north of Little Falls. Our deputies responded to the scene, and when they went there, they met with Mr. Smith at his front door. Mr. Smith immediately told them he had killed 2 people that were breaking into his house.
The 2 victims were Nick Brady and Haley Kiefer. Smith claims that he shot the 2 out of self-defense.
It's in Minnesota law, you do have the right to defend your house and your home.
If you believe the people have the means to cause you bodily harm and are intent on doing that, then you have the right to defend yourself.
What happened in this case, though, is it went further than that. The law doesn't permit you to execute somebody once the threat is gone.
Currently, Byron Smith is in the Morrison County Jail, where prior to the press conference, he was charged with second-degree murders, and his bail was set.
Bail was set this morning at $2 million bond or $200,000 cash without any conditions.
With such a bizarre case, no wonder officials would like to keep the details under wraps. Officials made it very clear that this is still an ongoing investigation and want to make sure that Smith gets a fair trial.
Why?
Wow is a reaction that many people have. When colorism comes up, it pins dark against light.
Dark, you dark. If you white, you white. Like, I don't compare black people and say, hey, you light skin dark or you black skin dark. To me, it's all the same.
What is colorism and the undertones that created it?
Colorism is a symptomatic manifestation that is rooted in the general framework of white supremacy.
Where did colorism come from?
It was produced by colonial powers, imperial powers, be they first European powers.
What negative effects does colorism have?
Were never liking their Africanness. So they'll try to do surgery to redo their nose, their African nose, to redo their face structure. And clearly pigmentation is one of the situations.
It's not just physically that colorism hurts the black community, but it hinders its growth.
This mentality then created a racial hierarchy, a complexion, more than racial, a complexion hierarchy in our own community, where darker complected Africans were discriminated against by lighter complected Africans.
Racism and discrimination is not just a black and white thing, but an everybody thing. Reporting from St. Cloud, I'm Sainabou Gaye, UTVS News. Cold Stone Brewery is home to the new 3rd Street Brewhouse.
In our old administrative building, which will become the 3rd Street Brewhouse, and our packaging facility, the alleyway, looked like it could have been 3rd Street.
And this is where we get the 3rd Street Brewhouse name.
3rd Street Brewhouse offers 3 year-round beers put together by specially trained brewmasters.
Dream team of brewers.
12 brewmasters that control the brewing process.
Exciting for us as a brewery to start developing new styles. We're already in the concept of let's pair 2 brewers together and see what beers they can come up with.
Brewmasters coming everywhere from Jamaica to Germany. 3rd Street is looking to put together some new, different combinations.
And these have a longer shelf life. So
Sure what we're going to get, but we know it's going to be probably something very unique and exciting, and that's what the craft beer community is really looking for.
The beer community is not 3rd Street's only concern, but families and other local businesses.
Just the brew house isn't just for us. It's going to be a gathering place for communities and bringing groups together and meetings and a place to come and try new and exciting beers. And we're going to bring people to town, and they're going to come and they're going to stop at the bars and the restaurants and buy gas. 2 years ago, we decided we knew craft beer is on the increase. We knew we needed to do better beers. And if we're going to be a brewery and call ourselves a brewery, we either need to get out of the business if we're not going to do great beer, or get into the business and take it very seriously.
With a dream team of brewers, new beers, and a new facility, 3rd Street Brewhouse is on a rise to the top. When walking through downtown St. Cloud, it's likely you'll run into Jules Bistro.
We decided to open up, and I would keep teasing when we would have get-togethers that I was going to open up a wine shop. We just decided to buy this.
With the sequester, new bills are being passed to raise taxes, even on things like beer and wine.
I pay more for taxes for beer and wine, then I might have to pass that on to the consumer, to the diner here at Jules.
Anytime there's a change, anytime there's a price increase, people tend to fight against it because they, of course don't want to spend more money on stuff. But beer drinkers will always be beer drinkers and wine drinkers will always be wine drinkers.
Jules says it's hard for her to hire a full-time manager because healthcare benefits are too expensive.
The increasing cost of medical care is a significant problem, and the lack of insurance availability to a certain population is a big problem.
We have a box of vitamins up on the counter, and that is the healthcare plan. It's take 2 per shift.
For employers with over 50 employees, it's going to make their insurance premiums go up substantially.
We're below that 50 mark. We're a small business. We employ 10 to 11 people at a given time here.
You shouldn't have to work for a big corporation in order to get the basic standards of life, and I believe healthcare is one of those.